My name is Talip. Today I'm going to talk about Citrea and what you can do in this hackathon. Happy to be here with all of you, and hopefully I can go over what we're doing, and then everything will be fine. And yep, this is kind of a newer version for Buenos Aires, particularly for you. Feel free to ask any questions at the end. So some background. My name is Talip. I'm a DevRel engineer at Citrea. Before that, I was doing protocol engineering. Um, I also attended some hackathons as well. I also earned some prizes as well, and etc. So kind of understand how you feel and what's missing. And yeah, I spend my time talking with developers all around the world, trying to build on Citrea. So if you have any questions or any concerns or any thoughts, that just feel free to send a message to me. Here's my QR code for you to scan if you want. Yep, you can scan and then ask anything you want here or online. Yep. Today's agenda. So in the first slides, I will go over what Bitcoin is actually, which is something that we often overlook, and then I will explain what Citrea is, which is a Bitcoin rollup, and then I will go over the things that you can hack in this hackathon, and then I will also talk about the things that we do after hackathon for particularly hackers that are interested in. Yeah, so Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and this is even true for an ETHGlobal hackathon. What I mean is, it's a system that started with the white paper itself, which had a lot of influence over the global economy. It is a system with a really good price. I think this graph is a little bit old, but still, it is a good system with good price, and primarily the reason many people like it, unfortunately. And it is widely accepted everywhere. And we still don't know who Satoshi is, and I believe this is kind of a feature of this blockchain, primarily because the founder or the innovator, being anonymous, kind of helps us in that end, and it's something really, really taken for granted for the sake of sovereignty of the network itself. And everyone keeps using it, and then everyone is really happy that prices are increasing, and then they keep issuing more ETFs, and then they just keep going on and on and on for basically everything. But all in all, it's the major blockchain that currently the alternative financial ecosystems are really pursuing. But then one thing that probably you should never forget is the way it started and is the way that it occurred. Bitcoin was a solution to the fallbacks and arguably the dishonesty of the current financial systems in the world. And it is always kind of a sovereign fight against what's going on in the global economy. We should never forget this, because otherwise it will just become another perhaps centralized economy, and we don't want it. So Bitcoin is great, but it also has some limitations, right? Other than the price. And actually, it has many, many limitations. What do I mean is, for example, if you're using Ethereum, it's much more programmable compared to Bitcoin. So, on the right, you see the Ethereum's solidity and some implementation of some code. And then on the left, you see Bitcoin script. So Bitcoin script is more like an assembly-like language. It's much more low level. And the things that you can do are also very limited, because the stack size is very limited, the operations are very limited, the functionality of each opcode is also very limited. You cannot do much today on Bitcoin with Bitcoin. And even if you try to do it, then due to the consensus and due to the logic it works, the more usage it gets, the more fees bump, and then the more the chain becomes unusable. And even if you try some innovation with it, then it may not end up well, and then it has its own problems in terms of practicality under load. It has its own problems in terms of scalability, and actually many people are not really aware of it, and it's something that can be improved, should be improved. That's how I believe it. Yep. When this happens, we get really angry, and then we just flip the table and say like, I don't like this currency, whatever. But then at the end of the day, it's still Bitcoin, right? It's one and only Bitcoin that many people has accepted. Yeah, maybe we can do some changes to Bitcoin then to make it better. Maybe we can bring some upgrades to make it faster, or make it cheaper, or make it more scalable, usable by more people. Well, in theory that works well, but then in practice, the problem is Bitcoiners are not really okay with changing Bitcoin. Even to explain as an example, the latest change that has happened as a soft fork was over 5 years ago. And even today, there are different fork discussions going on, but none of these scaling fork discussions have been reached to a degree that people are comfortable with. And everyone keeps proposing whatever the solution they prefer to. And then it comes with its own drawbacks because there's no consensus among Bitcoiners. And there's also a gang who doesn't want Bitcoin to change at all because the price just goes increasing or whatever. But still, there are people who want to do more with Bitcoin. Even I, as a Bitcoin holder, I sometimes want to do more with it. And then I sometimes don't have any solution other than swapping my layers, swapping my Bitcoin into some other assets in the world. There are also more people like me. And the solution is moving my Bitcoin into other layers and then trying to utilize it on these other layers. And there's actually a demand for it. Like all these BTC assets on other chains, they're being heavily used, and there's like billions of dollars being stored. And this number is probably even more up. This is an older screenshot that I took from a website called bitcoinlayers.org. I heavily suggest you to visit and give it a shot. It's a very, very, very good and clear explanation over what's going on in the ecosystem. And yeah, like using other layers works. I mean, I can bridge my Bitcoin on Ethereum, I can move it, and then I can use it there. That's a great idea, but it comes with its own risks. What do I mean is, they're not really good enough or they're not really secure enough. So all these billions of dollars, when you try to move, what you actually do is you give your money into someone else, and then they give you some synthetic Bitcoin on that asset. And it's literally this exchange. You try to go to the other layer and then you give your Bitcoin. And then, you do whatever you want. You transact, you gamble, you play games, I don't know. And then at the end, when you exit, you expect that person to be there. But what if the person you gave the money to is not there anymore? What if they just vanish? This is a big problem, actually. And, at the end, you may end up with some poo on your hand that is basically useless BTC, even at the point that, they get away with the real Bitcoin and you cannot do anything about it while the bridge is being burned because Bitcoin is a permissionless environment, which should be always. But I'm just trying to say that you need to be careful on what you're doing with Bitcoin on alternative layers. And you need to make sure that your funds is as secure as it can be with the people that you give your money to. That's why we're kind of working on this. We're making an alternative layer called Citrea. It's a roll-up on Bitcoin. And then it also has a very secure bridge design that we're working on. And at the end of the day, our goal is you will always be happy and, there is no shit in your hands. And real Bitcoin is always claimable for you by these bridge operators or whoever exists. And, we've been doing this for more than 2 years. It's been a challenging ride, to be honest. But, it has its own fun parts. It has its own, rewards itself as well. So to elaborate a little bit more on the technical level, if you're into, this is currently how Citrea works. We basically put our data as a blockchain on another blockchain, which is Bitcoin in this case. And then as long as Bitcoin is sound and secure, our data is always available so that people can see what's going on and they can always reach the latest finalized state. And, if you're asking what are you doing here, well, we're an EVM compatible rollup. That means anything that you can do on other EVM chains, you can also do on Citrea. That includes, privacy mixers, that includes lending borrowing stuff, that includes NFTs, whatever. But it is a EVM compatible system that you can use today. And, the code that you use is also purely Solidity. So you can just deploy your existing programs or whatever, and you don't need to do any changes at all. So this is really great. And that was the chain. And there's also the bridge that we have. So our bridge design is basically based on zero-knowledge proofs. It's a trust-minimized Bitcoin bridge. And what I mean by trust-minimized is the verifiers you see, you only need one of them to be honest. And also we have some operators on the bridge, and you also need one of them to be honest. Why is this a good idea? Let me explain a bit more. So what does all these mean? Trust minimize one of them. So on top is a traditional BTC wrapper design, and then on the bottom is Clementine. So on top you have a 3 of 5 multisig. That means your money is locked in a block between 5 people, and then 3 of them can move anywhere they want. And then on the bottom there's Clementine, and then it has n people managing the money. Well, if everything goes right, then when you want to enter and exit systems, 3 people give signatures on top, and then you can exit or enter whenever you want. So that's good. For Clementine, when you want to exit, you only need 1 signature or one people to be honest and secure, so that you can exit the system whenever you want. So this looks okay, but what if some bad things happen? What if in the worst scenario, what happens? Well, let's say on the top, if 3 people gets hacked, then they can move the money. And this keeps happening actually on alternative systems. North Korea, for example, keeps hacking systems, and then they just hack an honest majority, and then they basically steal all the money. So for Clementine, we kind of solved this, because to be able to hack the system entirely, you literally need to infiltrate all n entities. And even if you fail to get 1 entity, still the bridge is functional. Still that 1 honest entity can use zero-knowledge proofs and then can kick the malicious people out of the bridge. So we essentially changed the trust assumptions a lot, to the degree that it is almost trustless. You still need 1 person, that's why we call it trust minimize. But over the existing systems that we have today, where you don't even know who the custodians are on the top scheme, this is a really, really, really great improvement that we have here. But yeah, like we keep building all this stuff, right? Then does it guarantee us that we will be able to achieve a really great financial system that is great to use, that is cheap to use? Well, the answer is no, because for a system to succeed, you also need some ecosystem, some people actively using it and managing it. So we've been live on testnet for more than a year, and so far, we got our seed round and Series A round, and then we basically made all the infra ready, and we practiced all of it, and then we attended multiple hackathons, talked with all of you, tried to understand what you need, what you don't need, what you're afraid of, and then try to fix them, all of them. And then we also started onboarding many partners to our testnets to basically make sure that when we launch our mainnet, which is very soon, early next year, everything is ready by default and no hiccups. And also we got audited as well. So the whole protocol is end-to-end audited at the moment, and it's fully open source that you can also check. But then the core idea is all of these things that we try to do cannot succeed with the tech alone. So that's why we need your help. That's why we need all our partners' help. That's why we need every single ambitious people that are going along in this industry with us to help us as well. But so far it's been going very good, I would say. And why are we in Buenos Aires is perhaps your other question. We have 2 different ideas to present you in this hackathon. The first one is a degen track. Normally we go with DeFi tracks, and also we got really good projects as well out of it. But then this time we wanted to switch a bit, because Bitcoin is permissionless money, and eventually we also want Citrea to become one when we go mainnet. And part of this behavior is being able to do whatever you want, and this also involves vibes. This also involves any kind of financial transaction you prefer. And primarily, one good use case of these is degen applications, basically, like having fun with your money, having fun with Bitcoin, which is the greatest asset in the world. So that's why we invite you to come up with some degen crazy ideas. Just be chaotic, be Gen Z, make the memes, anything that you want, and then just play around with it. And then the second one is a bit of a more also open track, but still it's very useful. Basically, the current Ethereum ecosystem is much more connected compared to Bitcoin. So we want to fix this a little bit. And one way of fixing it is also having both Bitcoin and Citrea integrations with other platforms as well. So if you have any particular idea that integrates Bitcoin well into other ecosystems, just feel free to use this track and apply for it. Below we listed some ideas, and also we also have a survival guide for you that you can see what exists, what you can use. And this also has our contact information. so you can also find it. These are all available in the prizes page of ETHGlobal. Just feel free to go there. And yeah, like it's been a wild journey so far and almost mainnet. But why are we doing all this? Like, what's the reason behind it? Is perhaps you're asking. Well, it's mostly behind a belief that we have. Particularly, a belief that I have is maybe the more extremist one. I don't know. I like it. I believe that Bitcoin really, really, really has the potential to, influence more in Bitcoin against centralized currencies, centralized governments who are almost actively trying to hurt you in any aspect of your life when they're not trying to help you. And there's something called hyper Bitcoinization, essentially replacing Bitcoin as putting Bitcoin as the center of finance that we have as of today. And as the time progresses more and more, we also started to see more and more movement among these blue and red waves of this. And at the moment, we are at this green circle that you see. We are at this point where the institutions and banks are starting to get more and more adopted, and then at the same time, the price and price becomes less and less volatile, and Bitcoin becomes more and more practical. And this is again like really important to put Bitcoin at the center of the world. And I value this because, as I mentioned in the very first slides, the reason that Bitcoin existed was becoming a sovereign money that is capable of surviving without any intervention, without any regulator being bad, without any people trying to destroy it, right? And this is something extremely valuable to the degree that we sometimes take it for granted. But we shouldn't. And we should always keep fighting for our freedom, keep fighting for our privacy, keep fighting for our values that we should always possess. And just don't forget about this. And we're basically trying to achieve this with our layer so that you can utilize your Bitcoin in more flexible ways that you can do without compromising your trust assumptions too much. And for this, we also have an incubation program called Citrea Origins. It's our incubation program for people that also believe in the mission that we have as of today. And we basically provide all the supports in Origins to cool founders. We basically help them with their go-to-market. We help them with their marketing. We help them with their strategies. We help them with any idea that they have, basically. And everything is pretty much one-on-one. And then, so far we have these cool companies that are working together. Selfie and Signals are actually from ETHGlobal Taipei, that we met them there, and then we talked, and the synergies were very good, and now we're working together. But all in all, like, we need these disruptive new applications to achieve a level of innovation that is helpful for Bitcoin, because you can always use existing contracts or platforms as well, but there should be systems that are also designed for Bitcoin and Bitcoiners, and we believe that this is particularly valuable for that. Please feel free to also visit this website or ask me what they do as well. I don't have much time to go over it, unfortunately, but yeah. And we also host hacker houses regularly with these founders, and then do everything on site as well. And this is some of their appreciations, and the way they enjoy it, and the way we enjoy it as well. It's really, really going fun, and it's been a really fun journey, all of it. And then, we're essentially a big family with similarly ambitiously people fighting for the sovereign money like us. And we're trying to ship it all together, and hopefully early next year it will go mainnet. And it will be really exciting times, and I hope that you'll be there and also participating for it. But yeah, I guess that's it from me at the moment. Thank you, and thanks for joining. If you have any questions, we can talk outside as well. Yeah, okay. There's a question.
Thank you very much. Actually, working on Bitcoin is not well known. We don't know. We never tried nothing, at least in my country, in Bolivia. What do you think it will be the biggest challenge for us as developers to build up something with Bitcoin or using Citrea?
You mean to building on Citrea, and that is easier that is hard on Bitcoin and easy on Citrea, you mean, or?
I mean, easy in all ways. Actually, the most important applications the most popular in South America, Bolivia, are DeFi.
Hmm.
Everything related with DeFi is starting to work.
Yeah. Many DeFi primitives that people are using today are actually not on Bitcoin itself because Bitcoin is a little bit too slow, a little bit too expensive to use, and a little bit too limited to use. Like it's a very assembly-like language that I showed you. If you go back, like if you try to use Bitcoin, it is on the left. And then if you try to use Ethereum or Ethereum-like systems that are DeFi on Ethereum, it's more on the right. And on the right, you can do much more things than on the left. Actually, the way you do DeFi, it's not on Bitcoin, it's on Ethereum today. So we're trying to change the sale debit. We're trying to make a layer for you to do the DeFi primitives, do anything you want, but using Bitcoin because our chain currency is also Bitcoin and it is Bitcoin compatible pretty much. So what we try to do is we try to make you use your Bitcoin, use your sovereign money, not any other currency, to do any kind of DeFi thing that you want, to do lending, borrowing with it, to do privacy applications with it, to build money markets with it, to buy even a house with it in, have better liquidation conditions or whatever. So the core idea again here is making Bitcoin much more useful without compromising too much. So that's what we are trying to achieve. It's like, are you a developer? Yes, it's like, building a system using assembly and then building a system using JavaScript, You can always do the first one, but it is much harder. And for web, for example, much more impossible. So it's like we're bringing an abstraction, a high level that is much easier. That's the core idea we have. Does it make sense?
Yes, the base language for Citrea is
Solidity, yeah. And you use Bitcoin. Like if you run the code, it will check for Bitcoin. Yeah. Thank you.
something else. And do you use Oracle?
Yes. Yes, we have oracles. We have two oracles at the moment on our chain. Actually, three. One of them is Stork, one of them is BlockSense, and then the other one is Redstone. And their addresses for push oracles are available on our documentation and also in the ETHGlobal Prizes section of Citrea. So you can see which addresses and which feeds we have for the oracle. But yes, we have oracles. Yep. Thank you very much. Yep. Thanks for joining, and hope you have a great hackathon.